Since we are talking TCS, let's just continue that conversation and get some market perspective on this as well. Moshe Katri, MD at Wedbush Securities, is with us. Moshe, thanks very much. Always great to have you on our show. So we got this, rather surprising news late last evening, India time. What are your thoughts? The person who's taking over is also an insider. He spent 30 plus years with TCS. Do you think it'll be a smooth transition? And what do you expect on the stock?
First, there's never really good timing for an executive to leave, especially in the context of Rejig, given his significant and impressive contribution to the company. Secondly, TCS, in our view, has a very deep bench, and this will likely be a very smooth transition. Companies like TCS have such an amazing culture of nurturing executives and growing them from within, which on one hand is a blessing, but on the other hand, it's also a curse because you will see them leave to go somewhere else. And it's the nature of the business. You've seen that at TCS, you've seen that at Infosys. But again, the good news, as I said, is that these companies have a very, very deep bench. And they should be able to, bring in somebody else. And the new CEO or the replacement CEO seems to be to have a very impressive resume in terms of his experience. Obviously, focusing on BFSI, the largest vertical, et cetera. So, should be a smooth transition. Timing is probably not ideal given what the industry is facing as we speak. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. Moshe, the other thing is that from a medium to long-term standpoint, the COO, Mr. N. Ganapathy, is 63. We have Mr. Kritivasan, who's 58 as well. CLSA has written that at some point, succession planning becomes extremely important for them, given the current age and experience of the leadership as well. How do you view TCS, given the fact that it's trading at a significant premium to the others as well?
Succession planning is something that you have in every large company in the space. I'm not surprised. I mean, I think that it's kind of a given, if you will. The premium that TCS has had is a function of the execution and visibility and the fact that they've been pretty consistent. And that's how the market kind of prices you these days.
Any additional thoughts before we wrap this up?
As I said, there's no ideal timing for this event. That's typically the case. And I guess there are a lot of talks about transition and smooth transition. And, it seems that they seem to be in a pretty decent shape. I don't think the market's going to like it. But again, the market ultimately will get over it because it's a very large company. These are executives that have been with the company for a long time. They've probably been marked as next successors down the road, and he was picked. So. But that's kind of, as I said, it is what it is, and it's part of the business, unfortunately.
Hey, Moshe, just before we let you go on the sector as a whole, we've discussed TCS at large. You recently turned cautious. Just wanted to know what will make you turn positive, or what are the triggers that you're watching out for, at least in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, in our note from earlier this week, we suggested that the outlook for the sector remains fluid. And fluid in the context of typically macro volatility or increased macro volatility, a lot of noise. What happened in the banking system this week or last week, in our view, that probably turns into what we call procrastination in terms of decision spending, decision pause. That probably gets sales cycles a bit longer than expected. And typically you get deals committed for but not funded. So that actually impacts visibility for the sector. So, we were kind of hoping to see some momentum starting probably a couple of weeks ago. And unfortunately, we haven't seen that. So that's what we're kind of talking about. So it seems that the numbers are going to be a bit more back-end loaded for the sector for the year. We thought that we're going to see some sort of a decent uptick in sequential growth in June. We may not see it. But as I said, the situation is fluid, and fluid means that things can get worse or can get better. And I think the situation is just very dynamic. Look, the funding is there for projects, but if the market or if enterprises are not really comfortable with the environment, they're just not going to fund these projects. And I think this is where we are right now.
Okay, got that. Moshe, good to have you on the show. Thank you very much for your perspective and for your time. We do have